Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
And I'm Frederick Philip Von Weiss, and thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology that love what they do.
And do tech good. Oh, we were so close.
Oh, we got it. Don't you worry. Hey, and speaking of tech, doing tech good, everyone, we are sponsored by Pantheon. They are helping us doing tech good this whole season. So thank you, Pantheon. If you're not aware of the platform, Pantheon supplies services for WordPress, for Drupal. They have a dev, test, and live environment, so you could easily test all your stuff out before you push it up to that live environment. You could use SFTP, Git, whatever you want. It's a super great service. I've been using it for, I don't know, like 5 to 27 years. I really enjoy it. So go to pantheon.io and check it out.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about the Pantheon is because you're actually using it and you can be like, hey, yeah, it does, does work.
Awesome. Oh my God, yeah. I use it every day. I wouldn't use anything else. I really enjoy Pantheon.
And don't you have like a staging and dev and everything, all that set up too?
Yeah, it's great. So I could just push everything to my dev account and test it out, get with my developers, try some things, and then bring that to my stakeholders and say, hey, what do you think of this? This is what we're thinking about before we even push it to a test site to test out the code. So yeah, it's great.
Super cool. And they have Sundays.
Yes,
every episode.
We'll skip that part. But hey, yeah, we're going to be where, Brian? It's coming up.
Front End Design Conference, April 25th, 26th at the Palladium Theater in St. Pete, Florida. We're going to be live broadcasting again, and we might be doing something pretty awesome where we're actually giving a talk.
Well, we are definitely giving a talk. We're giving a lightning talk there.
Maybe.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm coming for a talk. I'm ready. I got my fists up. We're talking.
Yeah, it's about starting a podcast, and Frederick is actually going to rap.
Live rap. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
so if you want to be there, I'll sign autographs and everything.
And I'll give hugs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll give hugs, too. I love giving hugs. Well, hey, with all that said, everybody, and without any further ado, why don't we get to our guest? We have a very special guest. We have Chief Experience Officer at BM Interactive Group and founding partner of UX+DEV Summit, Ignacio Garcia. Welcome to the show, Ignacio.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming on. It's been a long time since we spoke last, which I believe was at the UX Summit maybe 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, just last year. It's been
just last year?
Yeah, just last year. Yeah, in Fort Lauderdale.
Dadgum time, man. It's just.
It feels like it's flying lately. I mean, but it's not that long ago. But there's so much stuff that's happened in between.
Yeah, we've all been crazy busy, and I'm sure you have too. Ignacio, for our the people that don't know you yet, let's go ahead and build up some context before we jump into all of our topics. So where exactly are you joining us from?
Right now, I'm joining you from Miami, Florida.
Ah, yeah, the beautiful Miami. What's that background you got going on?
This is Brickell. Brickell, Florida is the financial district of Miami. So actually, I think they were shooting Bad Boys 3 not too long ago out here. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Did you go by Will Smith and do like a photo bomb?
I wish. That'd be awesome.
Do you go to the Art Basel every year?
I do not. But I should. I definitely should.
Brian, maybe you should give some context for people that don't know what that is.
Oh, it's basically a giant art event with artists, designers actually. I think they'd even do some live murals. There's music. There's all sorts of entertainment. It's a whole it's amazing. I have not gotten to go because every year Rachel's like, I'm going to take a girl trip and go down there, and I'm like, no, I can't go again this year. So yeah, I really want to go, and there's beautiful murals there too. She always sends me pictures. I'm like, oh, that looks good too.
Yeah. Maybe me and you will take a guy's trip.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Yeah, we'll do that. Well, hey, Ignacio, why don't we jump into a little bit of what you're doing? So You are a Chief Experience Officer at BM Interactive Group. Let's jump into BM Interactive Group. What's that about?
So BM Interactive Group is kind of like a spin-off of a consultancy group that focuses on product design, product management, and product strategy. So we're just focusing on what we do best, and that is making products, designing and creating experiences from concept to completion. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. We also actually do corporate training and UX workshops as well. So we just completed our first UX workshop on processes, UX and dev processes decoded. So how processes impact, the experiences and the internal mechanics of companies, how they work together to maintain that experience throughout the product lifecycle.
How did you get started with these workshops? So what was the inspiration? Were you the one that initiated this, or who came up with the idea to do these workshops, and how does that benefit the company? Is it more getting community exposure, getting the word out?
Yeah, all the above. Just recently, we had clients come up and asking, can we do this? Can we do that? And it started being like a repetitive request, and also just the need in the community about talking, having good education that's close, that they don't have to travel outside, to like maybe California or whatnot, but have good training and talking about getting to the whys and the hows and the pain points and addressing those. And coming up with good solutions in an educational format. But it's been quite successful. It also serves as like a marketing tool for us. But we definitely like to give back. We like to provide quality, and we like to think it's affordable workshops for the professional and for companies as well.
Do you mind if I ask you, since you brought up the point of affordable, like what that costs? Is that something you could discuss?
Sure. So we have workshops that range from half day, $99 to a full day, $399 to workshops, and so depending on that's if you attend our classes, but we also tailor more defined experiences if we have to come on site. But I think it's a small price to pay. I think it's a good middle range, and for the quality that you get, and versus like if you go to, on the other side of the world or out of the state, from Florida, you're paying airfare, hotel, food expenses, and it adds up. So right now in South Florida community, I feel like there's a need, especially for having good quality education in our field.
Yeah, agreed. And I think you brought up an interesting point too. Sorry, Brian, I just wanted to ask this last thing, is that you said it's not just for designers, it's also for clients, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul Boag had this book a long time ago that he put out called Website Owner's Manual. And I think it's great to have something like that too for the client, as far as the UX side, like understanding UX for the client. So something like that really helps them understand why maybe some of these decisions are being made in the business realm.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, I think our careers and experience in like our industry has grown so much that, it's no longer like maintaining the user experience or creating the user experience is a company-wide effort. You can see how that's reflected in the product at the end of the day. And a lot of times you have clients that they know they want something, they know they need it, they just don't know how to label it. But once they see it or they hear about it and then they get their feet wet, they just get hooked and they become instant advocates, for it.
Yeah. And what's awesome too, just before we get too far down the path of this, is your training classes are all over the place. It looks like too. West Palm Beach, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, Puerto Rico too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you decide those specific locations? Just out of curiosity.
Puerto Rico has always had a fondness. It's had a soft spot, for the island and the people there. And after Hurricane Maria, you know, they really did struggle. There was a big impact, and interesting enough, the tech industry there, it's growing. A lot of people from the States have moved down there. A lot of blockchain developers, and I feel like tech is going to help the island out, like, you know, the territory, or the country, to get ahead and be competitive. And it's amazing. There's so much talent that for me that I feel like it's untouched, and I just wanted to, you know, kind of go there and give back, educate and show them the world of, you know, how do we create products and digital products, what is UX, and how do we, you know, for developers, you know, how do we talk about UX in terms that developers understand, right? And they get, and how can they apply it? And the feedback was just amazing, and it was, you know, we had fun, and the people are amazing as well. So we just tried it out, and you know, it's kind of like a missionary kind of style to help out, but also to help check out that industry there. So it was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I visited there. Luckily, before the hurricane, sadly, what happened, it was really just horrible. But the people there, I mean, I met some great people. I was there and stay connected with them. Actually, it's amazing the spirit there, and just the drive of a lot of people.
Yeah,
you know, picking themselves up. There was a place called Pinky's I went to, a little, like, kind of really tiny little sandwich shop that it was flooded. I saw pictures over the door, and like a couple weeks later, they're open again. I mean, that's just, you know, that right there just shows they just want to, you know, pick themselves up, dust themselves off.
And everybody, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe the people I ran into, but everybody was super nice, and they were friendly, and having very, like, outgoing and friendly personality. It was just fun all around. The food was great too. The food was amazing. So
yeah, I got to get a home cooked meal. I went hiking and went through some cave systems. It was like a local, like, it was like a mom and pop tour type thing. And his wife cooked us lunch, and their family joined us and everything. The little girls, and were like staying with us. That was just so great. It was awesome. That was awesome. The best meal I had there was that. So
a little bit of spelunking, and then some home cooked meal.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Oh, dude, you had the best vacay. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Do you don't have anything it looks like in northern Florida? Are you guys pursuing anything up in Tallahassee or in Jacksonville area?
Not yet. I've been following the Jacksonville market, and you know, seeing how that's turning, and I can also see that it's growing a lot. But we want to start small, like, you know, I've been in Central Florida. I lived in Central Florida for like 6 years, so I kind of know the area, familiar with it. But I just want to see how receptive our workshops and our training programs are, and you know, and then continue growing from there.
And what do you exactly focus on? I mean, it's I know we're going to talk about the summit later, but what do you focus on in these talks? Is it more on getting devs into UX? I mean, I notice there's a lot of talk of UX Decoded for developers, UX dev processes. So is that the crux of it? Is
right. So I feel like there's already a lot of educational material out there that, you know, on UX and also development. But I still find that working with developers, they still have like a stigma on UX, but they really want to learn UX and how do you apply it to their day-to-day. I have an opinion and a philosophy that, you know, when you code with UX in mind, your code is richer. And when you code with UX in mind, you bridge that gap. You help further bridge that gap between design and technology. The output, in my experience, has been so much richer, and the process has been so much smoother when everyone is thinking about the user and being user-centric, and that's even down to developers. And I think they're also starting to realize that. But I think sometimes, like, thinking UX, there's a stigma that it's design, it's always design, and they might get a little bit turned off or intimidated by having to sketch or whatnot. But that's why we have this workshop where we decode it and we make it where, in terms that they can understand and apply immediately. As far as the processes are concerned, interesting enough, my biggest design projects lately have been internal processes. So designing processes that help companies rapidly execute their products, their designs. So they have talent. They have an immense teams. Teams have a lot of great talent, designers, developers. They got project managers and business analysts, QA engineers. But it seems like they still struggle how to keep that synergy going. How do you align these processes where you don't lose the experience, you don't lose that transition through the product lifecycle. And lately that's been the biggest. Actually, there was actually a strong selling point that workshop in Puerto Rico. It sold out. And they were all asking how. So my goal is not to get so theoretical, but to get more into the technical, give them the answers and the processes and the solutions that they are looking for, so that they can immediately apply in their day-to-day practice.
Oh, yeah, that's give me the answers.
Well, it's important to the old teach a man to fish kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Hey, one of the things I really would like to talk about is you have a title that I think is coveted. One of the things that a lot of people are interested in pursuing and look as I would like to have more of a voice at the table, and becoming a C-level really helps provide that, right? So you're Chief Experience Officer. Do you mind if we kind of dive into what that is and what that is for you specifically, and kind of what your day-to-day looks like?
Sure. So my day-to-day is somewhat of a product owner, but also an advocate for the UX, for the experience as a whole from the ecosystem. So I look at it from, how does the business goals and decisions impact the overall business strategy, and also not only the business strategy, but the product strategy as well.
Yeah.
And how does that, how does that impact the design, the output, the experience, the whole, I guess, end-to-end cycle. So when we're having meetings about, what we want to do in the next 3 months, or with these ideas, I bring to the table what that impact is from an experience perspective, and kind of put that ROI to it, or that, whether it be a positive or negative impact on it, or what the outcome would be if we don't do X, Y, Z. And if we're going to do X, Y, Z, maybe we should do, this process, or this, maybe these things that we need to do in order to maintain that experience and not lose it.
So a lot of it is kind of summarizing and possibly boiling down those business solutions to the ROI and projection of where we're going to be, where we're going to be in X amount of time, right? Is that what I'm getting from that?
Right, more the strategic side of things and the impact overall.
So do you have any additional day-to-day as in some aspects as an individual contributor as well? Are you still touching things, if you will? Are you still in there, crafting some of the experiences, or is it more of a managerial kind of role?
It's mainly a managerial kind of role, but depending on the project and need, I definitely don't mind rolling up my sleeves and diving in and helping out where I can. So I try to lead by example, and and it's not like my ego is. I really care about the product. I care about making good quality digital products, and whatever it takes to get it out the door. And what is it that we need to do? What are the problems? What are the solutions? Let's talk about solutions. Let's talk about problem solving, right? And let's put the team together and put everyone in line, and let's get it done. So
I'm always curious. Why? I mean, there's an obvious answer to this. Why do you care so much about the users? Like me, for instance, just as a point of reference, what led you down this path is what I'm getting at. Like me, I've always had the interest of helping people. That's why I worked in healthcare. I've always been wanting to make things better for people. I find that designers tend to have something inside themselves that make them want to do this. What would you say is that in you?
Oh man, that's a really good question. You know, I actually am I don't know if you guys know, but I'm going to get a little personal on you guys, but I'm actually a cancer survivor, 2-time cancer survivor. So
Oh, wow.
I think I apply like my resilience and my strength in that, but also my you know, I empathize a lot with people, and I think it's because of those experiences that I have is what I do to apply myself where what can I do to better improve their lives? And especially if I'm working on a product, let's say in healthcare, you know, like I know the healthcare system pretty much in and out, like as a patient. So I can help companies, you know, when they're doing interfaces of that client, you know, that client process of when they're starting, when they get to the ER, you know, and you know, what are they going through? What are they, and like to help them, you know, anything that we could do to help them get through that faster, I think adds to their experiences and improves their overall impact of what they're already going through. Especially, you know, that's like a medical scenario. But if you're like, I've also seen how products that don't have a good experience and or you know, where they create like people remember when the impact when you have like a bad experience or how you make them feel, like it they really remember that. And like, you know, I know a few companies, I don't want to say the names, but I still like, for one particular, I switched just because of how they made me feel, the impact, and I never went back, you know. But I mean, that's a very like superficial level of looking at it, but I like giving back naturally. I've always like, you know, I've earned my merits, and there's been people along the way that have helped me and throughout my career. But I've always been someone that if I see someone down, I'm always going to extend my hand and help them get back up, you know. And if I could do something and I've had the ability to do it, I will try to do that. And I try to apply that to my design principles and concepts as well. So maybe that's my passion. And I think that's where my passion goes through, like through my work. You can just see it, you know. So
wow, I love that line, giving back naturally. That's so, I don't know, that makes me pause.
Well, it's so honest, because that's a natural human emotion, giving back naturally. It's not something that's kind of like a preconceived thing that has a agenda. It's when these brands, companies, people, what have you, provide you opportunities to organically give back,
right.
then yeah, that's where it's at.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like what you mentioned about reaching your hand out. You've always been someone to reach your hand out, and you probably open doors for people too, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and healthcare. Oh God, healthcare. The interfaces for everything from the ordering systems to billing to reading the someone's heart rhythm are just horrifically horrible, and I wish there was more change in that area. Did you have an interest? Like, I think your company kind of works with all sectors. Do you try and look around and be like, hey, there's a healthcare company that needs software? Do you try and pursue those sort of jobs, I guess, if you can?
You know, that's not a bad idea. I haven't really thought about it that way, but maybe that might be something I might explore in the future, because I definitely have a lot of experience and interest in that, you know. But, you know, I really, you know, what I like about changing the industries is that you have different kinds of projects, and you get to, I guess, toy around with different technologies and have different kind of solutions and problems that you need to solve. So it's always interesting, you know, one way or another. But that's a good question.
Yeah, that could definitely go a few different ways. I totally see the value in that. You know, Ignacio, I think we should probably jump into our main subject now, which is the UX Dev Summit, which is where we met you in the first place. Do you mind if we start jumping into that, about what it is, where you and your you and your buddy got an idea? I believe this happened over a few pints of Guinness or whatnot. We'll jump into that too. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, it's always over a couple beers. Everything starts with a couple beers.
Yeah.
You know, like UX Dev Summit, really, with my partner, Michael Vargas, you know, it all was brewed about, you know, I was a traditional designer, at that time, and he was a traditional developer. And we were like, you know what, material design had just come out, and we're like, you know, what is this thing that they call material design? Why don't we like make an app and try to like muster this thing together, and let's just play around with it and see how it works. Long story short, we were realizing that, you know, the way we were working was really outdated, and we really needed to communicate and to each other. And the way that we communicated and the process that we actually came up with was, we're like, you know, we should really talk about this, you know. And there at that time, South Florida, you know, the UX community, you know, was not as strong as it is today. But we're like, you know, I think there's something there. I think, you know, we need to communicate how UX designers and developers can work together, and talk about, you know, how can they work together to create, to get solutions done, I guess. And then that's where the knee came up, and the event started. And you know, I think we're in our 4th year now. And this year we pushed back the date to December of 2019. So we just kind of want to do something really different this year, and we have some things in the works for that. But yeah, that's how, pretty much in a nutshell, how I got started.
I love that. And do you feel like the essence of that is still carrying on through till today as well, and moving forward?
What do you mean? The essence of?
The essence of the idea.
The original beer.
The original beer.
Yeah, the original beer, if you want to use that analogy. But yeah, it's just,
I understood the beer. Gotcha, on the beer.
Great, yeah. Do you still taste the beer? Does the beer still taste as good? And are you still sharing those beers with everyone?
Yeah, I think the concept of the conference the first year was kind of like what we were looking for, but I think along the way, you know, I think we're focused more on trying to grow and grow fast than trying to. And I think we lost a little sight of touch of why we started in the first place, like our content. So this year, well, not to mention that, like, since when we started, between then and now, like, I think there's like over 50 UX conferences in the US alone, and then not to mention like the international events. So, and each event, you know, is talking about their own thing. So this year, we're actually going to be curating our own content and looking for speakers that are willing to talk about the topics that we have put together. That it's kind of like, yeah, so like topics that we put together to communicate more about our essence as a brand, but also the message that we want to communicate across. So the workshops and the talks are going to be both from the user experience perspective and the development perspective, and how they work together, no matter the topic. So 2 perspectives, 1 topic, 2 perspectives, and yeah, just one full day event.
Not to put you on the spot, but do you have one example of like what you would think is a curated talk that you'd like to have?
Sure, requirements. Let's talk about that. We can talk about requirements, right? So, you know, how does that work? You know, and how do we put that together? Is it designer's responsibility? Is it the BA's responsibility? Well, let's say the BA or the business puts it together. You know, do you include developers? Do you not include developers? Why should you? Why should you not? How does that process work? You know, what are the impacts from the design perspective too? You know, I mean, something simple as that. I mean, I'm just throwing something off the top of my head. We're still working on the content, and the schedule, but those are kind of the things that, you know, we're talking about, or even like when you're, you know, you're in the design phase, you know, how do we address these things? And those are kind of like the topics that we want to talk about.
So yeah, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Frederick.
I kind of feel like it would be easier for someone that maybe does the speaking circuit to have topics presented to them that they could just go in and go, you want to talk about this? Great. I don't even need to write anything. I could just come in and start talking. Right. You know, I could easily provide a few slides, but I know everything there is about X, Y, and Z. So this is easy. I could come up with some slides in like an hour. Let's go. You know, so I think with this, you're not kind of you're not getting the same things that people could hear all over the country. or the world, what have you, but you're getting these very specific things. And I'm really excited to see when you launch what these talks are going to be. I think that's going to pull in a lot of people. It's a great idea, and I love the theme. Do you think that you kind of touched on the importance and the inclusivity of development as well? And I think a lot of people talk about how I think I'll even cite Brad Frost. I was just listening to him on a podcast the other day, how he talks about, we need to have developers in the process at the beginning of design, and we need to have designers at the end of the process with developers and things like that. Like, are you going to touch on some of that? And are you also going to have developers at the conference as well?
Yeah, the goal would be to have everyone that's part of a product team to be there,
Love that.
So, and our UX and Dev processes workshop talks about, we actually talk about exactly what Brad Frost has pointed out, the need to have developers at the table from the very beginning. And we've actually, with Michael, we've actually created a process that has been our, we've applied it to many projects and helped many companies with it. And that's what that workshop is about. Like, it's about what the UX and Dev processes are, how they work together. But let's dive into the storyline. Like, how do you start from the beginning? Who's part of that team? How do you get to the end? Who's part of that team and that whole journey. So, and that concept is going to be applied to the conference as well. So we'll talk about the mechanics, the processes, the technical, the design, the whole, I guess, product journey per se. So in one full day, you'll have a journey from start to finish from both UX and design perspectives, like UX and Dev perspectives. Sorry. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's something that it's weird. It seems like, as you're talking, as like we've talked about, Frederick and I have talked about things like this in the past. It all seems so logical and makes sense. Of course, Dev should be in from the very beginning, because then they can tell the business owner or the stakeholders, well, this is going to take 8 months or a year or 2 years to build this if we do this, but we could do this possibly and still accomplish what you want. And design should be there, because then they could be like, well, we want to make sure this experience is this way. And it just seems so logical, but it's good that this sort of information gets out there and gets spoken, because people don't think logically. People act with emotions. People act with, ego. And instead of thinking through the process and working through a process, these sorts of things are, needed.
And I love that you said this. I love that you said this word, ego.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how the divas and divos of our industry, they have such an impact, and not a positive way. We've worked with teams where the ego we turned out after all our troubleshooting, what's the problem, what's going on, and it turns out that it's an emotion, an ego, an attitude that's impacting the delivery of this product, right? And the morale of the team, right? And no one's really thinking about these soft skills, like how important is having a good morale in your team or that culture, and how that impacts your creativity, your productivity, your design, right? And vice versa with the ego. Like, no one wants to work with someone that you can't. I mean, it's hard to work with someone, but when you remove the ego from the equation, it's incredible how everyone falls in line.
Jason Ogle always says, "What is it? Your ego is not your amigo." And it's so true. Shout out to Jason, but it's so true. I mean, we don't have on design sprints things like, in 2 weeks, make sure everyone gets along. It's did everyone get along? Did that successfully happen? But that could be a user story. But
level of effort for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because a lot of times we have these things where it stems from friction with scheduling and scope. We have to get this done. Jerry can't make it this week. Sarah and Ed just are having a thing. And, it's up to Tom and Larry to come together and try to get it done within 2 weeks. But in the user story, did these two people get together? That might not be there. But yeah, it's amazing how we don't really think so much about emotion. We say these things over and over again. Obviously, we're talking about it. People listening have heard it. We're probably preaching to the choir, but it's about acting on it and really coming up with some kind of concrete plan to really make sure that we hold these things accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the concrete plan is communication, like you were saying, getting everyone involved, because the CEO or the product owner or the business sponsor, wherever their name is, if you give them, even everyone has a valid opinion or a valid insight that may or may not contribute, but in some form or the other it does. And if you ensure that they feel that they did have a voice, then the ego no longer matters. The emotion can go away because everyone felt like what they said and did and contributed mattered.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. We just had a guest on the other day where she was saying how people were coming up to her in a meeting and saying that because they just really wanted to, remember? They were like, they just really want to say something in the meeting room to look smart in front of their peers of, I also have opinion. I have an opinion. And what she said was later on, she would take those things, go back and say, they were like, oh, we want to move the logo over here and change it to green. Obviously, I'm just making up a scenario. And she would not do any of that stuff, but she would move something like to 1 pixel and say, hey, thank you so much for the changes. Really appreciate it. Here's what the feedback looks like. And they would go, that looks great. Thank you so much. So, I mean, I think it's about thinking about how much weight these kind of micro conversations actually hold. Do they not? Obviously, for the most part they do, but sometimes they might not. Sometimes it might be about that pure visceral emotional fear or lack of confidence in someone else, where they have that I'm going to get my word in no matter what.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we have designers that are supposed to be designing for the user and having that empathy, but yet there's no empathy whatsoever for when you're working or talking to your teammates, or maybe there's very little, or we're not even like looking. So the way I look at it is, you also have to design for your team internally, and apply that concept to how you interact with different teams. Because I've also I've had my rough ups and downs as well. I've had my falls, but they're learning experience too. But I've learned throughout my career, I can tell when there's someone who's not confident in themselves, but they have that position that everyone is looking up to them for an answer, but yet they're too intimidated or maybe not confident in themselves to speak up or even say, hey, I don't know, or can you explain more, right? And I've learned that, there's moments in meetings where you just don't probe, you just let that meeting finish, circle around, on the DL, and then talk to them when the pressure's off. And then you'll have a totally different response than what you would have gotten during the meeting. But
what is it? It's praise in public and everything else in private,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you have to treat your team members the way that, you want to be treated. The golden rule, right? Treat others. You have to think about the project, but you also have to think about, make sure that everyone gets their say, whether that's the salespeople or the development team, in every part of that, what you're doing too. If you want to get their buy-in, you could go to the developer and say, hey, Jeff, is this even realistic what I'm doing? What do you think? Are you going to be able to build this, Jeff? And Jeff might go, no, dude, that's impossible. Or he might go, you know what? I like that. Here's a few points that I would like to change in that. And now you and Jeff have this alignment, and they're excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
think I lost
Frederick die.
Yeah.
I hope that didn't mean the stream died. but Completely unrelated to what we're talking about. Hopefully he comes back. If he doesn't, we may have a problem, have to restart. We'll split it up. But the background, yeah, he said he's dead, question mark. But if the audio listeners are happening, can still hear this, the background behind you, it's been amazing watching the sunset behind you, and now it's dark. It was pretty cool.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I think he, I don't know if the stream's completely dead or not. Let me check while we're live on the air. We're testing to see if the stream. Okay, let's see. Can't tell. I think
you're live. I see the live icon. The live.
Well, I can't tell if it's dead or not. He may be restarting. This is the second time this has happened in out of 3 years, I think that's pretty good. Twice. I'm gonna see if he is rejoining us. It's hilarious. Hilarious. Yeah, he just completely disconnected. I think it ends when he disconnects. So we split. What we did last time was we split the episode into 2 parts. Let's see what he wants to do. It'll stay up until I come back. Is what Frederick is texting live. Okay, I finish up. Got it. Okay.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. So UX+DEV Summit. That's what we're talking about. You said this fall in Fort Lauderdale. Are you doing it at the same location again this year?
We're not sure. We're not sure yet, but it'll be probably December 5th, around December. Yeah, the first week of December.
Guaranteeing December 5th.
Not guaranteed. It's not the first week of December for sure, but we want that weather. Like,
yeah,
when you come to Miami or South Florida, you need to come after Thanksgiving. Like, December to March, amazing weather here. Like, it's just lovely. So, yeah. So we want, not only do we want everyone to come down and visit us, but enjoy the weather, enjoy the culture. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's not until December before Florida gets livable.
That's right, and the rest of the country is covered in snow. So why wouldn't you come and
exactly.
Get some rays, and enjoy some talks.
Yeah, exactly. So what are the numbers looking like? How much has it grown over the years?
We've been actually steady. We've been steady at our number rate. So we started at 150, and then we've been averaging about 200 each year. Yeah,
that's awesome consistency. Yeah, the university was really nice while we're there. Are you still trying to work with them and do it there? Are you looking at somewhere else? You mentioned it. You weren't sure.
I'm not sure because the venue, unfortunately, the venue has had their operations there has been a sore point for us. But I'm hoping that they just started a HCI program, and so I'm hoping that maybe we can work with them and getting a different venue and maybe partner up with their program to promote it. So we'll see. Welcome back.
Yeah, I don't know if it actually killed the stream or not, though. Frederick, are you going to check? Make sure that we're still oh, wait. Uh-oh.
The stream's...
Is it still
no,
live?
I can tell. The stream... No,
I hear you.
Did it drop again?
Can you hear?
Oh, no.
This is great.
Just don't move. Just stay there.
He needs to do he needs to put the AOL connection sound when he clicks off and clicks back on. So whether he's going to come back or not, I want to keep going with this. So what are some takeaways you've actually gotten from from running this conference and some things that you've discovered? It's been 4 years, you said? Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years. Not 4 years.
Oh, I'm gone again?
Frederick, just go away.
Can't you kick him out? Can you kick him out?
I can. That'd be funny. I think it might kill it if I kick him out. I can mute him. He's like,
I'll hit
he
mute.
muted himself. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah. So yeah, takeaways as far as people you've helped? Have you noticed people coming back, and what feedback have you gotten? Changes in business in the area.
Yeah, so I think a lot our tech industry, especially in UX and Dev, has grown tremendously in the last 4 years in South Florida. Miami specifically has a lot of startups. It's a big startup kind of craze going on. And I think the takeaway, we've gotten a lot of great feedback from our past conferences and how it's impacted their careers, and but most importantly, I think like last year we strayed away a little bit from who we were or who we are, and it was
Start
great.
Drinking cider instead of beer.
Well, it was great that the feedback we got was awesome, and we're looking at it like an iteration cycle. So we know what we did wrong, we know what we did right, and we know what we need to improve on, and we're looking forward to this year. So yeah.
Yeah, one thing I mentioned before the show started, I want to bring it up here, and I tweeted about this recently too, which is funny, about how conferences are full of big names, Netflix, Google, Amazon, you name it, and not as much of the local businesses, the small startups, the agencies, where there's 5 people and they can't maybe implement this massive system and processes in place. And getting those type of people into conferences, I think, would benefit. I think you need a mixture, but I'd love to see that at a conference.
Yeah, I agree. Great idea. Absolutely.
Are you back, Frederick?
Yeah, I'm all back. I'm all set. Hey, what size are you looking to grow the conference, Ignacio? Are you looking to stay the same as you were before, or are you looking to increase the size of the attendees?
If you would have asked me the first year, I would have said I want like 1,000, 2,000 member conference. And
really?
Yeah, like we were like super ambitious. Maybe that was the beer talk.
Yeah, it was definitely the beer.
the Guinness. But I think that there's a balance and ratio between. I think we lost him again.
Did you really lose me again?
I hear you. Kill your video. Kill your video.
Don't worry about it. Just don't move. Just stay still.
Yeah,
he is. That's the problem. Sorry, man.
No, it's all right. So I think like the good number, I think the sweet spot is where we're at right now, if not maybe a little less, and where we can control that ratio, and like attendee and content ratio. I think where I definitely want to apply that real world experience and have. Because I think one thing that everyone takes away from our event is that the intimate experience, like the ability to have those deep conversations about trade, about UX, about the challenges that everyone's facing, create amazing relationships and networks that I still friends with and network professionals that I've met the first year, and we still keep in touch. And it's that it's not just like an event where you just come and go and you don't really talk to anyone, or it has like that cold factor. Like I don't know how to explain it, but we really try to provide that I guess personable aspect to it. And everyone that comes there, I think takes that away. They can take that with them. Like it's definitely, I think that's part of what sets us apart from the rest.
I love that. I remember you telling us that you knew every attendee that came to the conference, and you were able to still keep in touch with everybody, reach out to them. You had somebody that came to you at one point that, oh, hey, you remember that I liked your shirts and blah, 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 and you knew their name and you had that solid connection. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I met Sarah Veslov there when we interviewed her, and we've become friends since then.
Oh my God, is that where we met her?
Yeah, it's where we met her. You remember?
Wow, that's right.
She's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean that right there, things like that, just being able to meet someone, then develop a relationship that you become friends, then you'd be able to talk back and forth. Like she helped me when I was doing interviews. I've been reviewing her stuff when she was doing an interview. So like that that sort of relationship doesn't develop, in something like a video call or something. You have to be in person, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So sometimes it's not about just your social presence. It's about making an actual human connection, a handshake and a hug. That goes a long way. Well, hey, Brian, we're getting close to the end. Do you want to do your spotlight, or should we keep going?
What?
Oh no, really? Did I drop out again?
No, just kidding.
Oh, you got me. I was saying we're getting close to the end. Should we go ahead and jump into your spotlight, or do you want to keep
let's do a little lightning round if you can stay connected. I love the lightning round. In honor of Janelle. In honor of Janelle, we will. So,
Ignacio, what we do, we're going to ask you a bunch of questions that we might or might not had the chance to ask you during the interview, and we're just going to ask you them really quick. So it's just quick answers back and forth with Brian and I. So sure. I'll go ahead and I'll start first. Favorite cartoon as a kid?
Pluto.
Oh, nice. What's the last thing you ate?
Tacos.
Awesome.
Last song you listened to?
Last song, I would say Frank Sinatra.
What's the last thing you purchased? Most recent thing you purchased?
Vodka.
What brand of vodka?
Wasn't Tito's.
I'm a Belvedere man, so what's yours?
What's that?
Oh, I was asking you what brand of vodka.
Oh, I like them all. I like Grey Goose.
Liking them all. Absolutely. That's the right answer.
Yeah. I'm not. Just bring them. It's all right.
Yeah.
If you could eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Meat. Steak.
Just meat?
Steak.
Very Ron Swanson of you. Ignacio,
actually, fun fact. I'm a huge meat, I guess, advocate, not advocate, but not advocate. Sorry, that's wrong. No, I have this, I love grilling and barbecuing. So I started this Instagram profile called the King of Meats, and there's nothing great than just having a delicious, well-cooked steak. And I just go through my experience. I hit up not every restaurant, but I get tips about mom and pop restaurants that have great steaks. So I'll go and check them out to other restaurants, higher end restaurants, or you'll find me grilling and cooking. I think we had a 30-pound of meat party, and it was just awesome.
That's awesome.
What's that handle again? What's the Instagram handle?
The King of Meats.
The King of Meats?
Right.
Yeah, the King of Meats. Yeah.
The King of Meats. Okay, we'll put a link in the show notes. Ignacio, you come home. It's 1:30 in the morning. You open the front door. There's a ghost. What do?
Close the door.
Well said.
How are you going to get in your house? Okay, when do you go back in the house?
Well, I'm inside the house, he said. So I go
No. You walk home. You open the front door from outside. Yeah.
Oh. I don't walk home, so it's invalid.
You get out of your car, you walk to your home, you open your front door.
And I see a ghost?
Yeah.
I just walk through, What are you going to do?
Just, what's up, buddy?
What are you gonna...
I got meat to eat and vodka to drink.
I picture you then going to the fridge, opening it up, getting 2 beers out, popping one off, handing it to the ghost.
If I'm coming home
Casper, you want one?
If I'm coming home at 1:30 in the morning, that means I've had a long day at work or a project. What are you gonna do? Just all right, whatever, man. Just do what you gotta do. And
yeah, boo to you too, buddy. Get out of here. Tell him to scram.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Ignacio, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian. You got another one?
You're about to do
it. All right. We're getting close to the end of the show, so we got 2 last things to ask you. The first thing is, what's the best way people could contact you as far as a address? Where do they go? What's your website, Twitter handle? Where do you want them to go to find out more about you?
My Twitter handle is IgnacioGH, @IgnacioGH, and you can check me out online at bminteractivegroup.com.
Nice, excellent. And the very last question is if you have any kind of final words of wisdom, any kind of statement that you'd like to provide the audience before we bid you farewell.
Make sure it's deep.
Oh man, talking about putting me on the spot. Final words of wisdom, I guess. Don't stop trying. Don't be afraid to fail. Put yourself out there.
Yeah, well said. That's really great. Well, Brian, you got anything else?
No, just thanks for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate you joining us, brother. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Take care.
All right.
See you, everyone.